What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and once again, I'm sitting here next to.
Gersh1.
And today we're back answering questions from you guys in another installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, just comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what
Juan Lopez has done.
I had a friend named Juan Lopez.
That seems like a very,
Generic name.
like widespread. Because Juan's the Mexican version of John, or like the Hispanic version, right?
Yeah, I think so.
John Smith. He says, "Hi, I'm from Costa Rica, by the way.
Oh.
Every fellow Latino mentions their motherland, and I just want it to be popular."
Never been to, what did you say, Costa Rica?
Costa Rica. But his question is about chapter masters. Do you think that all chapter masters have crazy over-the-top situations that give them the right to lead their chapters and subsequent storylines? Because some appear to be really overpowered compared to others. I know some have more focus in the lore than others, but come on. So, my question, boiled down, is, can every chapter master achieve feats like Dante, Pedro Cantor, Calgar, or Grimnar? Can these guys eventually become something akin to Caldor Drago in their situations?
No, technically not. Like, those chapter masters, the ones you mentioned at the end, like Dante and all that kind of stuff, those guys are like the cream of the crop. So even though the process of becoming a space marine turns an individual into a super warrior, basically a demigod, there's still levels in terms of like the demigod, and it comes from the stock of the actual where the space marine comes from.
Right.
So like when you have a space marine chapter, their recruitment world, they purposefully have a recruitment world where the recruits are going to be savages. They're going to be like bloodthirsty killers as children.
Yeah.
So depending on how savage those recruits are, that's how like heroic or savage the space marine's going to be. Like Fenris has like basically, what are they, barbarian Vikings and stuff like that. But the point is that like you can have a kid that's super like he is destined to be a really good like fighter to begin with, and then you add on top of that the fact that he's a demigod. So it's not like getting gene seed does not make you automatically like as good as Dante.
Right.
Like as a kid, like Dante, if Dante wouldn't have become a space marine and he would have just like joined some type of like military group, like the Inquisition or the Imperial Guard, he would still be a war master. I think that's what they're called. Well, the highest rank in like the Imperial Guard. Yeah. So,
with that being said,
yeah,
it's like it's a 1 in a million chance of you becoming that guy.
yeah.
And not just that, but like how you were saying with the gene seed, that does play a huge part. Obviously, the more successors you have and like splintering off, the gene seed does tend to degrade over like generations, I guess you could put it. So eventually the main, like the Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, those guys are going to have a stronger portion of gene seed in a way than like the Flesh Terrors and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because genetic flaws also come into play.
Part,
yeah, like the Black Dragons. Like that probably is not easy, being a chapter master for them. And then you have to remember that like Space Marines, they've been around for 10,000 years, and in those 10,000 years, each chapter has had a lot of Space Marines that die.
Right.
Like they are in this the worst of the worst when it comes to fighting.
And it's not just like, oh, you're a chapter master, nothing can kill you. It's like, no, they die. I mean, look at the Raven Guard. I believe it was, I forgot the name of the chapter master. But that chapter master died to Commander Shadow's son, and that's what led to Shrike rising to be the chapter master of the Raven Guard.
Yeah. And also there's a survivor bias when we read the lore, because we are only listening to the named characters and stuff like that. And if you're creating your own homebrew lore for your chapter master, don't make them boring. Like, don't make him as crazy as Dante or Caldor Drago, but don't just make him boring.
Yeah, because it's also fun to see like an underdog story of like, I I don't know, kind of like how Ragnar was fighting Gaskell.
Yeah.
And like they both died.
Right.
That's pretty cool. Instead of just having Ragnar completely wiped, the floor with Gaskell. Okay, all right, we get it. He's a space marine. He's a named character.
Right.
But seeing him dead, that kind of throws a loop into things.
Yeah. This next question comes from Nico Tugas. Which of the Loyalist Primarchs were Psykers? It seems like most of the Primarchs were Psykers, and they ended up becoming Demon Princes.
Well, you're right. All of them are Psykers in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, the more powerful Psykers are the more flashier ones, like Magnus. But even Gilliman, who you don't see him use any psychic powers on the tabletop, still has a little bit of Psyker-ness to it.
Yeah.
So, they're all Psykers.
Yeah. I think the best way it was explained to is that when the Primarchs were created, the Emperor intended each Primarch to have a portion of or be an example, or he's supposed to embody something of warfare. So just because Leman Russ is like really, really savage and he hates Psykers doesn't mean that, there's magical fairy dust in his beard. There isn't, I should say.
Maybe just a hint.
Yeah. Next question.
BrownieChan88. Would the Jakaro prosper more from an alliance with the Tau? And what could the Jakaro do with Tau technology? Please and thank you.
Who?
The Jakaro Weaponsmith. So Jakaros are naturally gifted with technology, as we've seen them being able to create essentially a Green Lantern ring that fires off like las cannon shots.
Yep.
So yeah, any type of alliance with any mechanical, technologically advanced race would definitely be to the Jakaro's prosperousness. Because better technology means more things they could create and tinker with. Just wait till they get their hands on Necron tech.
Then it's going to be, what is it called? Physics spending?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, one thing that I would like to see a Jakaro do with the Tau technology is have like a ring that like you push it or whatever, and then he like a freaking stealth suit like appears around him.
That would be cool.
Like the Iron Man, is it Extremis armor? Where it's almost like living armor that he could like control and move and whatnot.
I don't remember that.
He kind of used it when he was fighting Thanos on that one world, where like he went like this and like the armor went to his hand and made like a blade.
Yeah. That was cool. I could see that with nano scarabs.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes from Nathan Douglas. Why is the warp only local to the Milky Way galaxy? That's never been answered. I actually like it. I like the fact that there is no other galaxy. It's not like Star Wars. Because then, for some reason, in my head, it just seems more... The boundaries make it seem more tight, like more realistic, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have a finite space to explore, kind of.
Yeah.
If it was limitless, which it kind of is when you think about it, but
yeah,
it adds like I don't know, it adds boundaries. Like a border, a boundary to it. It's like you could see what there could be here.
Yeah, and I think I've always been very visual, so when I think of Star Wars and I think of like, oh, where is like Chewbacca's homeworld, and like it's kind of all fuzzy because isn't Star Wars all over? Like it's not just a galaxy, or no, it is, isn't it?
The galaxy far, far away.
In one galaxy, right? But I do like that. I like that concept of having like boundaries and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And even then, you have like the antithesis to the material world with the warp, and you have all these like the Dolmen gates, the what's that space called where the Drukhari live?
Oh, Kamara.
It's like
webway,
pocket dimensions, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like knowing that there are boundaries also lets us know that there is something else outside the galaxy. And then that is shown with the Tyranids coming in from like the edges of the galaxy.
Yeah, slowly consuming.
Mm-hmm. But in my headcanon, I like to believe that the warp was just traveling through the galaxy and like he got a flat, and that's where it's trying to repair itself in the Milky Way galaxy.
By consuming real space.
Mm-hmm. Not fake space.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of cool because then the warp then becomes a living thing. Kind of like the Tyranids are trying to consume everything in the Milky Way galaxy. The warp itself is also trying to do the same thing with the Eye of Terror and now the Great Rift. So it's slowly bleeding into reality.
Mm-hmm.
This next question comes from...
I got first name, last name. It's not a question, but it's a fact that I want to ponder on. He says, supposedly, pissing on your feet helps fight foot fungi and other foot-related issues. Who really knows if it's true? But when I went to boot camp, we had a serial shower passer who would piss in the shower, or shower pisser, I assume, who would piss in the showers when everybody was there. Dude was an a-hole and was trying to get out of the Marines by doing dumb stuff. That was his excuse.
There's easier ways to get out of the military than
peeing on people. Maybe he was just concerned, I don't want anybody to get foot fungus, so he'd be doing all that. Just keeping you guys safe.
Yeah. Also, you could just wash your feet.
Yeah.
That gets rid of foot fungus. Which is, it's tricky. You need to be careful. You don't want to slip and fall in the tub.
Mm-hmm. But you also got to get between those toesies.
Yeah. That's why you should buy one of those bars that you can hold on to that are usually for older people. Mm-hmm. But to answer his question, wait, what was his question?
Is it true that he said it's kind of a fact.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we should pee on orcs to stop them from producing spores? Because orcs are kind of like a fungus.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how funguses die though. Because like upon the death of an orc, he releases spores. Upon the death of a mushroom or any type of fungus, I wonder if they release spores. Because then that doesn't solve the problem.
Right, but if you cut a fungus, the main root, the main organism is underground.
Yeah.
So you have to uproot the organism.
Right. So then pissing doesn't work.
No, unless your pee can travel underground. We should ask R. Kelly. He's good at that kind of stuff.
Peeing on people. But they have to be underage.
Are orcs underage?
Technically, yes. This next question comes from the big one. My hairline is pushing back further than the NBA 3-point line. What can I do to bring it back? Nothing, man.
Yeah.
Even though, with modern medicine, it's funny to me that we still have certain issues that shouldn't really be issues anymore, like hairline. How have we not discovered a way to fix hair, other than a transplant? Because I've seen that, you go to Dubai, and then they cut a piece from back here, and then somehow they graft it onto your forehead. But other than that, there's no pill, there's no medicine. Do we even know what causes these things?
Right.
Another weird thing. So you have your bladder, and the bladder holds the bladder holds the pee before it goes to the balls, obviously. But right in between the bladder and the rest of your that organ, there's a little I forget what it's called, but there's a little nub that as you grow older it gets stronger and it squeezes on the little passage from the bladder to your penis. So then it becomes harder and harder for you to pee as you get older, until eventually when you go pee, it's only a trickle, and then that poisons your body because pee is stored in the bladder and it's not getting to the balls. And why did evolution do that to us? It's almost as if the older you get, the worse you're gonna have a body.
I mean, that is true.
That's terrible. That's a terrible process.
It's we should just die automatically at our peak.
Yeah, at least, or get better as we go forward. Because that's usually what happens. As you get older, you become a better painter. You become a better hobbyist.
Until a certain point, and then you start getting the shakes. You can't focus.
Yeah. Well, kind of. But what I'm saying is normally a skill set improves, and it's the opposite for our bodies. The longer we're in our bodies, the more we deteriorate. That's terrible. Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to pledge to the Chaos Gods. They won't let that happen.
That's true. It's especially Nurgle.
Oh man, this guy's bladder piece is getting tight. Well, let's change that. 17 urethras.
If you know anything about biology, what's right underneath your bladder?
The taint. The chaos taint.
The chaos taint. Because it's supposed to be... I wish I knew. Yeah.
I don't even know. And I did well, it wasn't on the bladder. It was on the reproductive cycle.
You did a what?
A PowerPoint presentation. Next question. This one is by Conrad. Dogs or cats and why?
Dogs, because cats are shit.
That's true. I have a cat. She's pretty shit.
Their only
concern is for themselves.
Yeah. And like I don't know. They might be clean, but
are they really?
Yeah. Cuz their tongue hurts when they lick you.
It's like a razor.
Yeah. Everything about a cat was engineered to kill humans.
It's like, I'm going to show you I love you. Scrape, scrape.
Yeah. So this greater WAAAGH probably makes no sense because I feel like I'm not making any sense. My head is just all over the place. But I want to throw something else out there about cats. So there's this parasite that we know exists that goes into ants, buries into its mind, and then it becomes a zombie, basically. Yeah. And they were saying that perhaps there is a parasite within cats that cats create, and that they pass on to like other beings that are susceptible to that parasite, and humans are one of them. And that parasite actually gets into your brain, and it almost forces you to want to take care of cats. So that might be why we have cats as pets. Whereas like we know why we have dogs, because they're resourceful. Like we use them for things.
Right.
We don't use cats for anything.
No. Well, they catch rabbits, or not rabbits, mice.
But they don't even... like, I've seen a cat break a mice's feet and then just leave it there for me to throw away. And it's still alive. Like, he just tortured the mouse. And then he's just like, now you handle it. Like, they're not creatures that should even...
exist.
Yeah. Or with humans. They should exist in the wild. It makes sense. Like a lion, a tiger.
Bobcats.
All that stuff makes sense. But it just doesn't make sense for a cat to be inside. And like to be connected to humans. Like we don't get anything from them. Nothing. Except like... yeah, no, there's no job that they have, right? I'm trying to think.
Like therapy cats, I guess.
Oh, yeah. But you can get a bunny.
We had a friend that used to take a cat for a walk.
He's no longer a friend.
Like, I'm just trying to think of like how hard and difficult it would be to walk a cat.
Yeah, it's like giving a cat a shower. You can't.
I feel like cats are like Velcro. They'll just stick to everything.
Yeah.
Like those little sticky hands.
Those things are fun. Mm-hmm. I don't think they sell them anymore, probably because some kid ate one of them.
The sticky hand?
Yeah.
Ooh, imagine passing that through your urethra.
Is it that?
I think so.
That's the urethra is your tube, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, this next question comes from Raymond X. Why aren't there female Oghrins and Ratlings? There are.
Mm-hmm. You just don't really see the models for it.
Yeah.
We don't really see any really Ratling models for that matter. There was 2 that came out in the Blackstone Fortress. And besides that, I think everything else is metal.
Yeah, because those characters or those races come from like that era of 40K where 40K was basically just a copy and paste of Warhammer Fantasy, and Warhammer Fantasy was just a copy and paste of Tolkien lore, with thrown in some extra stuff. And yeah, Ratlings are supposed to be hobbits, and Oghrins are supposed to be ogres.
Right.
What are they called in D&D?
Yeah, Goliaths. Ogres, Goliaths, giants.
Yeah.
Hill ogres?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, I'm vegan. That's not me saying it. That's this guy who has a question that says, which Tau Sept are the coolest Sept? I'm struggling to decide for a paint job because I love the colors for Tau, but I kind of think that the Viorla are cooler from the lore perspective. See, that's an interesting thing. Sometimes lore beats out the color scheme, so I say just color it whatever and call it whatever.
Agreed, 100%.
It's like if you want to play Ultramarines, maybe they won't be good next edition, and now you have like an Ultramarine army, so just make it your own. Have fun with it.
Yep.
Because if you like the lore for the Viorla, but you don't like their colors, and you're forcing yourself to paint your Tau army in those colors that you don't like, you're not gonna do good with it.
Nope.
You're going to get frustrated and you're not going to have a good time. And that's a major part of the hobby that's going to suck for you because you don't want to do it. So do what you like.
Yep. Learn about the bladder.
Mm-hmm.
What color scheme is that? Do you know?
I think that's the white and black and red.
Oh.
Majority white, if I'm correct. Or I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't know why, but white towel upset me. I think it's because you have white towel and I've lost a lot. Well, I've lost
back in the day.
Boys, yeah. But yeah.
I still remember that one battle that I had against you in your garage where I completely like wiped you out in like 3 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what did I do back then?
Oh, and it was the edition. It was 7th edition, so shooting was like
the best. Because I remember you didn't even touch me.
No, and we played long ways.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Instead of doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, so the rule was that you had to, your deployment zone was 12 inches from the edge.
Table edge. And if you're playing on a 6x4 table,
yeah, you're all the way back there.
Yeah, he's basically running 5 feet to get to me.
Yeah.
That's bad. Now that I think about it, jeez.
And then now that's different. Now it says like, figure out where the middle is, and there's a 24
back from it.
Yeah, there's a 24-inch space. That makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
For not so much for shooting armies. That kind of sucks for shooting armies.
But you don't have to deploy right up to that 24-inch line. You can
go all the way back. Yeah. But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. And thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm. This has been the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwin,
and we are out of here.
Oh, if you could put my